Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What is the deal? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson. Let's get into it. You know how I like to start off the show. I always like to kick it off with some news to start the show. So let's get it, man. I'm going to go ahead, cut it, and let's jump into the news. All right, so news for The Run. Starting off, we have Marcus Smart of the Boston Celtics has won Defensive Player of the Year. He is the first guard to win the award since 1996. And in 1996, guess who won it? Gary Payton. Gary Payton was the last guard to win the award, and only 4 other guards have ever won the Defensive Player of the Year award since its inception in 1983 per CBS Sports. Now, Chris Middleton of the Milwaukee Bucks has suffered an injury in Game 2 against the Bulls. He's said to have a sprained MCL in his left knee, and his return is unknown at this time. Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns went down with a mild hamstring injury. It was a mild hamstring strain and was ruled out indefinitely and will most likely miss Game 3 and Game 4 of the first round. Speaking of the games in the first round, let's jump into some playoff recap from 420. I hope you enjoyed yourself if you celebrate that holiday. But the Philadelphia 76ers made it past the Toronto Raptors and won in overtime, 104-101, taking a commanding lead in the series that is 3-0. And Joel Embiid also hit a game winner in overtime. And the Chicago Bulls, they were able to steal a game from the Milwaukee Bucks at home as they won 114-110. And the Boston Celtics, they came back from a 17-point lead to defeat the Brooklyn Nets 114-107. All right, and so with that Brooklyn and Boston game, man, that was absolutely crazy right there. Now people are kind of wondering, well, if the Nets came back or if the Celtics came back and the Nets gave up the lead, which one is more impressive or disappointing? You know, is it good that the Celtics came back? Should they be praised for it, or was it just bad play from the Nets? And truthfully, man, you should from the Celtics watching that game to game, and I'm gonna be real for a second too, because I wasn't able to catch it live, so I had to go back. I had to record the game. When I got home, I'm on YouTube TV, so I had to record the game, go back, and watch the game, just to actually get a feel for how the game was played. Because I heard it was a good game. I didn't want to hear nothing. I seen they came back from a 17-point lead. And I'm just thinking to myself, what the hell happened in this game that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving blew a 17-point lead throughout the game? But then I seen the game was only in the second quarter when they blew that lead. Now, however, with the Celtics, this is a great team. This is a great team. I know it can be extremely frustrating losing when you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, but they're not playing against any scrubs. They're playing against some dogs. They're playing against absolute animals. This team, the Celtics team here, they're built in so many different ways where they can beat you. They can outscore you if they really wanted to offensively. They can sit down in crunch time and play defense if they really wanted to. Oh, you want to play physical? It ain't no problem. They can play physical. Oh, you want to force them to shoot threes? They can do it. These guys, they got guys that can distribute. They got guys that can hold their own on defense, but yet still play together as a team on defense, which makes them so dangerous, quite frankly. But it's just, this team is a very, very good basketball team. When you watch them play, they're just a good basketball team. And although they can hold their own defensively, as we've seen in the game too, people talk about, oh, well, KD was shooting terrible. Man, every single jump shot was contested. That was an amazing job from the Boston Celtics. Every single jump shot was contested that they threw up. It was barely any uncontested jump shots. And then not only were they contested, they definitely had about 2 or 3 people contesting the jump shots that they were taking. Now, that's not an excuse. Now, I need that to be known. That's not no damn excuse of why Kevin Durant should have been shooting 0 for 10 in the fourth quarter or whatever he was. He didn't make a shot the whole fourth quarter. I think him and Kyrie Irving combined the second half or the fourth quarter. I need to go fact check, or you can fact check for me, but that's what it was. Yeah, in the fourth quarter, 1 for 17 combined shooting the ball. That is piss poor awful. That is absolutely awful. And the Nets, this is why I say it is disappointing too. So don't get me wrong, it is disappointing, but also the Celtics, they are just a damn good team. They're a damn good team. They got everyone involved, and they continue to get everyone involved, but their stars still show up when you need them to, as they should. Like when you look at game 1, the box score was very spread out. Everybody had points. And when you look at game 2, it was the same way. Like game 1, I think it was 10 players over 20 points, or not 10 players, but it was about 5 or 6 players over 20 points. This is off the top of the dome, but game 2 was just as good. Game 2 was just as good. Everybody touched the sugar. And it's like, what more can you ask? If you're the Celtics and you want to play for that team, or you want to play for that type of team, you feel like your hard work is being paid off. You feel like you're involved and you actually did something to impact the outcome of the game. And for the Nets, let me just cut to it with the Nets, because I keep praising the Celtics, but as far as the disappointing part with the Brooklyn Nets, they have to get creative. The Nets got to get creative, because all this one-on-one stuff, this trying to isolate, that's not about to keep working. Not against the Celtics defense. That's not about to keep happening. So the Brooklyn Nets, they got to get creative. Have somebody run off screens. They got to pull that old Rip Hamilton coming off the screen, stopping and popping. Like they got to come up with something, because this clearly is not working. Now game 1, we gave Kevin Durant an excuse. We like, all right, he's not going to have too many of these type of games. Game 2, he had the same damn type of game, arguably worse. And that's not acceptable. The way they are looking right now and the way they are playing, they are looking like they are about to get swept up out of there. And I don't like using that word swept, but they're looking, if they continue to play how they're playing, they're looking like they're about to go ahead and get swept. Because they're turning the ball over, they can't make shots, they're playing sloppy. They need to play defense. Oh my goodness, they desperately need to play some defense in this game. So the way I see it, they have to flip it around. And going home, I vouch for the Nets. I was saying the last episode, if you go back and listen to it, the last episode, I said the Brooklyn Nets might be okay, and they're gonna flip it around. I'm showing faith in them. It ain't making me look bad. They ain't making me look bad here. So the Brooklyn Nets, they have to turn around. They got to get creative and do what they need to do and do what they're supposed to do when they go home and play the Boston Celtics, because we know the Celtics are coming with it. We know the things they're going, and we know they can adjust to almost any type of ball game. So the Nets, man, they got to come with it. They're going to need a little bit of everything coming with it. And as far as Ben Simmons, because I didn't touch on that, and we're not going to get too much into that because I'm about to wrap up, but as far as Ben Simmons, they definitely got to get something. He can help, but damn, they need everything they can at this point. But all right, so we're gonna take a quick break, really quick, and then we'll jump back into some news. We got some NFL news coming up too. I haven't touched on it, but we're not going to talk about any NFL topics. Just want to let you know we got some news from them. But as far as that, let's go ahead, jump into the break, and then we'll be right back. Now, just because you're busy doesn't mean you got to be stressed. I'm crazy busy right there with you, but it can be easier. Next time you're on a run, just make it more fun and listen to The Run with Manny Wilson. Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports.
What's up,
podcast.
everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. Let's do it. Let's jump into the news that we were talking about, and we're starting off with the NFL. We'll kick it off with the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns and Denzel Ward have agreed to a 5-year, $100 million extension, making him the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. Then the San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Deebo Samuel has requested a trade. And moving to back to the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies sent the Timberwolves running home with the loss 124-96. And the New Orleans Pelicans were able to hold off the Phoenix Suns 125-114. And the Miami Heat, they were too much for the Atlanta Hawks as they sent them home flying with the L as they won 115-103. And these were the games that took place on April 19th. I believe it was Tuesday of 2022. Now, in that game too, with Jimmy Butler, he put up his career high in the playoffs with 45 points while shooting 60%. So it was absolutely amazing to watch from Jimmy Butler. And a lot of people are thinking now, well, with the Hawks having 2 bad losses like this, is it time to start thinking about them packing the bags and getting swept? As I just mentioned, I kind of like to refrain from that word of getting swept when we talk about the playoffs. But damn it, when Jimmy Butler is aggressive like he was the other night, oh my goodness, teams are in for some trouble because we've seen him distribute. We've seen Jimmy Butler play with his teammates, get everyone involved, do what he has to do, be a leader on the floor. We've seen him do all of that, but it's a different animal and it's a scary sight when Jimmy Butler is out there scoring the ball and actively trying to score the ball. At this point, it gets ridiculous because they look scary. Now it allows everyone else to be able to do what they want to do. You can allow shooters to do nothing but shoot and play defense. If you got rebounders on there, you can allow people who rebound to do nothing but rebound and play defense. If they like to pass and play defense, and it opens up the opportunity so much and it takes so much pressure off of everyone on that team when Jimmy Butler carries the load of scoring. And I'm not saying that Jimmy Butler has to put up 45 points every single night, but when he's actively trying to score, he can do that. As we've seen, he can do that. And I hate to bring this up, but even in the bubble, we've seen Jimmy Butler go crazy. He went absolute nuts in the bubble when he was in the finals. But now that he's playing and when he's aggressive like this, it changes the game like no other. And for Atlanta, they're fighting, man. They're trying to do as much as they can, but it just really looks like the Miami Heat is just too much for them. It's just they're just too much for them. And then when you got Jimmy as a loose cannon like that, you can't guard him one-on-one. So I think overall they just got to play better team defense and try and communicate, try and get hands up, try and make him. It's tough to try and figure out what you can make him do that he can't do, but. Man, they got to bring some kind of extra help to force him to distribute again. And I say that mainly because if he is distributing the ball, yes, the Miami Heat, they have other good players on that team, but ultimately it gives your team more of a chance to get stops. You're taking the ball out of the best player's hands, which ultimately is helpful in any scenario. So I think that's really where the Atlanta Hawks have to jump into it and try and emphasize in this game 3 because it's looking a little scary. It's only a couple teams I think will actually get swept. When we talk about getting swept, one of those is the Toronto Raptors. They're about done. they're really about done just because Joel Embiid, he pretty much finished them off in game 3. Game 3s are crucial. Game 3s are absolutely crucial. And I say that with every series that we're watching coming up in this playoff run because game 3s is that difference maker. Not too many people come back from a 3-1 lead or a 3-0 lead. We don't see that often unless we're going to witness some type of history. But even then, that's incredibly difficult to do. So game 3 for each and every one of these teams in the playoffs is really a huge emphasis on winning. A huge emphasis on winning, especially if you're down 2-0. So that goes for the Brooklyn Nets. That goes for the Atlanta Hawks. Bye-bye, Toronto Raptors. Y'all probably done. I hate to tell you, but you're probably done. But any other team that's up 2-0, you have to win game 3, and that's for both teams. All right, and we're going to go ahead and get up out of here, man. Appreciate you for hanging with us today and sticking with us. Now, share this with a friend who will find this episode intriguing, whether they're a Celtics fan, Brooklyn Nets fan, Miami Heat fan, Atlanta Hawks fan, New Orleans Pelicans fans, or Los Angeles Lakers fan. Just go ahead and share the love. You had a great time on the run, so make sure they get to have a great time on the run. But until then, we will be back next week. We got 2 more coming for you. Be sure to follow us on Instagram as well at The Run Podcast. And you can follow my personal Instagram as well at I am Manny Wilson. And then we'll be sure to be in touch. We always talking about sports on there and dropping little clips and stuff. So you'll be able to see what we do in a digital standpoint and sometimes behind the scenes. But until then, we will be back next week, and so on and so on and so on.